Hey friends, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks. My name is Darcie and I'm a proud multi-graduate of the school we call life. This is your place to get unstuck from trauma and stuck in your healing. Go grab your favorite drink, get yourself nice and cozy, and let's walk this journey together. Just a quick reminder. This podcast shares personal stories and lived experiences. It's not therapy. It's not counseling or legal advice. If you need professional help, please reach out to a licensed provider. Hey, welcome back to the School of Hard Knocks. Today I was sitting on my sofa and sometimes I just gaze out the window. We have like those clear bird feeders that attach to your window. So I get to see all of these birds come in and eat their food. It's like the coolest thing. And I just happened to be looking out, and my neighbor who lives kitty corner from us is an older man. And I believe his wife passed away relatively soon after Eric and I moved here. I mean, we've lived here for about 16 years. I think his wife has probably been gone for about that time. But I see him all the time. And I watch a lot of the things that he does because it's interesting to me to see how different people live their lives, right? So every day, without fail, if I happen to catch it, the mail gets delivered and he immediately comes out. I mean, he must be sitting in his living room. No, he must be sitting in his living room with his shoes on already and a sweatshirt or a jacket because it's this time of the year, just waiting for that mail to come. And I watched it happen today. And I watched him come out with a light jacket on because it's not horrible in Wisconsin, and walk up to his mailbox and have one, probably a flyer of some sort. He'll walk back up to his house and kind of stare up at his house. And I can imagine he's probably looking at some of the paint spots that are missing on like the little awning part of it or whatever. And then walk back in his house. And I thought to myself, gosh, that really just reminded me of my grandpa. So when I was younger, 18, 19 years old about, I had been living with my grandparents. And my grandpa was on dialysis and he had stopped going a lot of different places because it just wasn't feasible for him anymore. But I'll tell you, one of his most like exciting moments is when that mail guy, that little buggy, would pull away and he'd walk outside and he'd go to the mailbox and grab his mail and come and sit down and go through some of the mail and watch Judge Judy or whatever, The Young and the Restless. And that's where he would sit. And I started thinking to myself, that's like the interesting thing about life. We spend all of this time putting all of this effort into titles and zeros in our bank accounts and, big houses and fancy cars, and it's all great. I mean, it's all great to have, whatever your outcome is, your goal that you have. I would never encourage somebody to not reach for that and more because, it's a good thing to have. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what we have as far as material things go, right? So this year, I had talked about this at the beginning, that this year I did not give myself resolutions. What I've decided to do is just to make a lifestyle change, right? So calling people that I haven't talked to as often that I should talk to. Today I actually called my sister from Arizona and we sat on the phone with each other for over an hour. It was so great. We talked about my dad, we talked about her daughter, we talked about what we've been doing, how, all of these different things. And it was just like this really great way of connecting with her. And it was free. I mean, it cost me an hour of my time, but it didn't cost me $1, right? A lot of the things, and I want to say, I just want to reiterate, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying don't reach for goals, don't get the Maserati, don't go to Paris. I mean, these are I don't want a Maserati, but I want to go to Paris. And I believe that it's in my very, very near future here. Everything around me is telling me that it is. So what I'm saying is, in these moments and times of reaching for whatever it is that that goal is, to maybe encourage yourself to enjoy some of the things that we don't have to work so hard at. So, time with our family, time with our children, time with our spouses, time with our siblings, time with our fur babies, going to church, volunteering, putting in things that feed more than just our bank account. Like my bank account, I want to be able to have several zeros in my bank account too, in my checking and in my savings, and a house that's completely paid off, and a Land Rover or a Range Rover, or Lincoln has like a new Navigator, I think. Lexus has a new SUV that's pretty nice. I want like a 1968, 1969 Chevelle SS. I want to go to Paris. I want to go to Italy. I want to, travel all over with Eric, watch the ball drop in New York, but from like a high rise hotel. I want to go back on a Bahamas cruise. Like, I have wants too. And that is great. There's nothing wrong with it. God put all of these things here on earth for us to try to experience whatever we want to experience. But one of my big outcomes that I'm looking for is not just adding zeros in my bank account, but adding zeros to my soul, feeding my soul, spending that time with a parent that maybe you don't see as often. Like, is the craziest thing when we grow up, right? Like, our parents are like seen when we have time. I mean, I will be very honest. I did used to make a lot of time for my dad even before he was shot, even before all of this stuff changed. But like, we haven't seen our daughter or our granddaughters for almost 4 months, and they live about 40 minutes away. Between her working and me working, and then they got sick, and then I got sick, and then this, and then that, and then this, and that. That's the kind of stuff that we have to start making time for, right? Making time for yourself. I mean, my goodness gracious. I know I've said this a million times. When I first started in network marketing over a decade ago, I used to do like a lot of different coaching. I used to watch like a lot of different coaching. And somebody, I don't remember who the first person that was that said it, but I remember almost throwing up. You have to fill your own cup before you can fill others. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like the dumbest saying. Like, whoever even said that? Well, whoever even said that is a very smart person, because that is an accurate statement. I have lived the majority of my life filling other people's cups from I don't even know where, because my cup has never really truly been full. My cup at this point is halfway full, you know? Like, I've probably have gotten close to full before and then just like dumped it all out by pouring into people. This has been my whole life in particular since I've been 16. Like, I really poured into my dad. I've always been here for my siblings. I've always helped with, any of the needs that my husband has. I've always been the first person to show up at work, always the last person to leave, always promoted at every place that I've ever worked at, always found success anywhere I've ever gone. And it's like, it sounds really good on paper. But when I lay my head down at night, that's not the stuff I'm dreaming about. I'm not laying there like, oh man, I hope that 5 people call me tomorrow and they all need to borrow money, or they need a ride someplace, or they need a babysitter or a dog sitter or whatever. No, I'm dreaming about, like, eating freshly made pasta in Italy and hearing like the music play and taking that little bungalow thing or whatever that they have, the fancy looking canoe. So, like, there's so many things that I want to do that cost money, that makes me reach for my goals. And I'm hoping that I'm going to have the same type of feeling of excitement and joy as I do like when my granddaughters come over. And Tinkerbell, who is now 5, we have this thing where when I see her, I go, Tinkerbell! And she goes, Grandma! And she runs to me, and I am telling you, if you are a grandma in particular, you already know it's the best feeling in the whole entire world. Like, I would trade it if I could be guaranteed, right? Because I'm a guarantee girl. if you could guarantee me that she would do that every single time we see each other for the rest of my life, like if I make it to her being like 30 years old and I'm still like Tinkerbell and she goes grandma, and I would give up the going to Paris and eating the crumpets and what all of that kind of stuff, because the filling of my soul has become more than what gets locked on my phone, the photos of the places we've gone and the things that we've done and all of that kind of stuff. It's the memories that we're making with people. It's the way that we're treating ourselves. It's how kind that we are to ourselves. I mean, this has been a really big growth thing for me, because for the longest time thought that I was getting out of relationships what I thought that I needed. But I had actually uncovered that I was a very bad enabler. And I didn't uncover that until I was 39 years old. So this whole time I thought my cup was getting filled because I thought that I was helping people. I was really enabling them to keep doing the same stuff. So then I wondered why I never felt fulfilled. It was because I was helping people who weren't helping me back because they were staying stuck, right? Where they were, because I was one of the top enablers to help them to stay stuck with where they are. Life is very interesting, and when you start to look at things really from a different perspective of what's truly important, what you need to do to take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything comes together in a way that starts looking like a goal that you would have never even really thought about having. A lot of people aren't setting goals to spend more time with their family or to, you know, call their grandmother once a week. I mean, I was even doing that for a little while, this unexpected phone call to my grandma. And I remember when I first started doing it, she'd be like, "Oh, it's so nice to hear from you." And that made me feel bad. Like, I want the people in my life to be like, "Oh yeah, she's calling, Darcie's calling again, Darcie's calling again, Darcie's calling." She calls me once a week, or she calls me once every 2 weeks, whatever that consistency is going to look like to keep doing it, because those conversations fill my soul. Like when I get off of the phone with my grandma, and it feels so good that my grandma and I just sat here and had a great conversation about maybe my childhood, or what I plan on planting in the garden this year, or picking her up to go eat ice cream, or whatever the situation is. So this year has brought me no resolutions that I really care to achieve, but more so just things that I want to accomplish to fill my soul in the process of still achieving outcomes and goals that I have set for myself. Just aligning the healing that I am allowing myself to actually have now to benefit the people around me in a way of inspiration, especially my siblings. Like, I want my siblings to be like, "Whew, it took Darcie a little while to find herself, but she finally found herself. And, we can do that too. And we can let this go or let that go, or we can still find happiness even though this happened, or we don't have to be." My family, especially my siblings, they are very strong, "You're not getting through my wall" type of people, because of what we lived through as children. So I love having the opportunity to be able to help my siblings see, with the right tools, with the proper healing, you're able to live a life that isn't just about what you have in your bank account, or what you drive, or where the house that you live in. All of that materialistic stuff is so nice to have, but it's not a necessity. For me, it's not a necessity. It's not a necessity for me. Let me say that. A necessity for me is knowing that I'm building relationships with my granddaughters, that they will call me at any time of the day when they're older, and know that grandma's always going to be there for them, right? Necessity for me is building friendships with people that actually benefit my life. Necessity for me has become going to church and further strengthening my relationship with the Lord, but also volunteering my time at the church and giving of myself in ways that make me feel proud to be a part of my community. Proud that I haven't taken a different route during my healing journey. You know, a lot of people take different directions and do things that aren't always super healthy for them or super beneficial for them. And to be honest, for the first month after losing my dad, I didn't either, because food noise, obviously, I'm a plus size woman, has been my go-to since I've been like 8 years old. That's not a resolution for me this year, because everything that comes along with lifestyle change, that's obviously going to be part of the lifestyle change, right? What I'm putting in my body, how I'm moving my body, all of those kind of things. That's a necessity for me, taking care of myself. And it's interesting because for the longest time, that always sounded like something that was so selfish. And now it sounds like something that is necessary. So my hope is that if you're going through something right now, which a lot of us are, that you choose to put yourself first so that we can be better for the people around us. So we are the healthier wife, mom, grandma, sister, daughter, granddaughter, auntie, friend, follower of God, wherever it is that you are in your life. Putting yourself first should start to become a necessity. Because even though that saying, if your cup is full, that used to bother me, that is a true statement. Fill your cup so that that overflow is able to truly help other people. Add those extra zeros to your soul, not just your bank account. See you on the next episode. I'd like to thank you for sharing your time with me today. And I'm so proud of you for stepping into your healing journey. Please share this with every single person that you know. I'm here to make the biggest impact possible, and I can only do that with you by my side. I hope you hit that follow button and you save me to your library so you never miss an episode. We just took another break out of your wall, and remember, with God, healing is always possible. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.